Hello buddy, it's Van Berman here, and welcome to my top 5 games of 2016. Now, just a little bit of a disclaimer before I start this video. I did make it for the last 2 years, or at least last year anyway, and that is that I'm only going to be putting games in the top 5 that I've actually played this year. So, I haven't had an Xbox, and I haven't also really played many games that are PlayStation 4 exclusive or anything, or or Xbox exclusive. So things like Uncharted or maybe Gears of War or whatever, they won't actually be in the list, unfortunately. So for those people who are expecting that sort of thing, yeah, it's just not going to happen. Mainly PC games on the list, of course, and also obviously going to talk about some other stuff as well. So go through some honourable mentions and some other little awards as well that are mixed up in there. The reason that the reason this is probably going to be a little bit late is because I've been sort of, I had to move house in the last month, and I'm working all over the Christmas period and that sort of stuff. But I am aiming to get this out as soon as possible. And if you guys want to let me know what you think or let me know your top game of 2016, that'd be brilliant. Hope you enjoy the list, guys. So let's get right into the first one, the honourable mentions, and that is going to go to Oriental Empire. Now, this game came out a couple of months ago. I think it came out in September 2016, and it's very reminiscent of the Civilization series. Now, I quite enjoyed it. It was a little bit rough around some of the edges. The combat was, tried to make it more dynamic, but ultimately sort of failed and made itself a little bit bland, I want to say. It was a grand strategy, well, not a grand strategy game, but it was grand in its scale and its size and the sort of eras you went through, which is why, like I say, many people do akin it to Civilization, and rightly so. I would say it's probably not as good as Civilization, though I've not played the one this year. But for me, at least, it was a game I thoroughly enjoyed. I quite enjoyed the time period. It's sort of pre-Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which I very much like. So if you're into that sort of era and that style of gameplay, then it's well worth having a look at if you've not had a look already. It's only made by a fairly small studio as well, so definitely worth having a look. And it wasn't good enough to make it in the top 5. I just wanted to give it a bit of a mention though, that's all. And the second game on the honourable mentions list goes to Darkest Dungeon. This came out in January of 2016. Never actually got around to playing it. I didn't really hear about it until September time. And then at that stage, I was what game was I playing then? Can't remember. I was playing something else at that point. I think it might have been Deus Ex. And I thought, I'll wait until it goes on sale on Steam. And it did go on sale on Steam, but unfortunately I was moving house and everything during that time. So unfortunately I've not had a chance to play it yet this year. It is a game I do want to pick up. I'm going to be looking for it when the Steam Winter Sale comes out. Don't know when that is. Hopefully sometime soon. And I'll probably play that during the new year. But because I haven't played it, I can't obviously put it in the top 5 games. Although I'm pretty sure it would have made it, to be honest with you, from what I've seen and what I've heard about the game. So take that how you want. And yeah, wait until I put one of my videos up about it, and then you can judge for it yourself if it's something that you would enjoy. But yeah, definitely something that I know I'm going to enjoy, so I'm quite excited to play it when I do eventually get time. So kicking off with the number 5 spot on the top 5 games of 2016, we've got Valley. This is a faux walking simulator. I mean, it starts off as such, and then all of a sudden becomes something totally different. It's got, these sort of, it's very momentum orientated. So you'll go through fast and slow paced sections as you're running through the countryside and absorbing life, taking life away, balancing the power between death and life, and you're sort of playing a sort of almost a god role, but a god that is struggling to find his way in the world, so to speak. The story is not amazing, but you sort of make your own little stories out of it. A lot of it is very symbolic, and it's something that I think two people could play the game and look at it totally different. I quite like games that are a bit more ambiguous like that, like I've just said, like I've just described it to you guys. You might go and play it and see it's something totally different, but there's a lot of really fun moments in it, and it's a very satisfying game as well. And purely because I'm not really into sort of walking simulator things, I've never played gone home, or everyone's gone to the Rapture, or there's a couple of others that I've not mentioned, but are very similar in that regard. And I've never really been interested in playing any of them. Whereas this came out, and I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a game, you can just sit back, relax, play, and try and work out, how to jump to that next platform without falling to your death sometimes. But it's just how it goes. Maybe it's just because I'm not particularly good at platformers and the ilk. I was much better when it was 2.5D. You can't really fall off as easy then. But anyway, no, definitely worth a place on the list, and definitely one you should go and check out, even if that's not something you're normally into, because I'm not, and I really enjoyed it. Number 4 goes to Final Fantasy 15. Now, this one is a bizarre one for me. It's definitely worth a place in the top 5 games, purely because as a game itself, no matter what the title was, it's worthy of being one of the best games this year. Yes, it's got its faults, and I've not even done a video on that yet. I will be doing a final impressions. I always said I was going to do a review, but I don't think I'm going to have time to do that sufficiently, so we'll probably just have a discussional video on what I thought about Final Fantasy 15 overall. But it's well worth going out and playing. Even if you're a purist like me, just get over the fact that it's Final Fantasy. If it said anything else, if it was called the Crystal Saga or whatever, you would play it and you would enjoy it, because it is a really good game. And yes, like I said, has its flaws, has its story flaws as well. But I thoroughly enjoyed the 42 hours I put into it in 1 week, because that's how long I borrowed someone's PlayStation 4 to play it. So, but no, like I say, not perfect. Easily one of the best games this year, though, and thus well deserves, recognition on this list. So I suppose a little bit of congratulations should go to Square Enix for it, but well done for 4th place. So a little bit of an interlude now. Just going to want to give a highlight to a game that was on my top list last year, and this is a game that I've played quite a lot again this year. Played it with some of the guys from work. I've played it a lot by myself, a lot with people that I've met and are friends with online, and that goes to Rocket League. I've poured a stupid amount of hours into that game, and all I've got to say is that it's well worth, if you've not checked it out yet. Where have you been? Or are you not into that sort of game? Which could be, it could be a legitimate thing. And I just got to say, it's worth going and playing it. I mean, if nothing else, one of the things I really like about it is the progression. Like, if you want to, you really notice how much better you get. As soon as you play one game and you're like, I can't hit the ball, I can't do this, can't do that. 5 games later, all of a sudden, you're hitting the ball 90% of the time. Or you're learning the little nuances of the game. And yeah, I'm sure that a lot of people will tell me, there's things like that in Counter-Strike or Call of Duty or whatever. But they're not my sort of games. So this is sort of like almost been an alternative to FIFA in my eyes. I've enjoyed it to that level, and because I'm quite good at it. But anyway, yes, Rocket League. Go and play it. 3rd on the list is going to Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Now, Mankind Divided takes the already, I think, a very successful formula that we've had from Deus Ex Human Revolution and improves upon it. I mean, it didn't have to do a whole lot. I mean, I think that was my whole thought process behind it before I even played it, was as long as they don't mess it up or change the dynamics too much, it's going to be a really good game anyway. I quite enjoyed the story, although it does feel like and it is a halfway point to what they wanted to make a trilogy. They could have really wrapped things up in this game, but, money's money, game's a game. They're probably already making the next one, which is called Mankind Revolution or something. I don't know. And, I thoroughly enjoyed the time I played on it. It's well worth going out and picking up. If you've not played Human Revolution before, go and play that. And, yeah, it would be well worth picking up, because that game is good as well, and it still holds up really well. And I think that this game complements it good. This is a good example of a sequel, albeit with its flaws and with the weird DLC practice they've got with buying the points for skills and all that sort of rubbish. I never really understood that. And the crappy online game as well. That's total garbage. But other than that, yeah, all good. And well deserving the bronze medal on the top 5 games of 2016. So in second place, we've got Total War Warhammer. I'm a big fan of the Total War series, so it shouldn't really be any surprise that this game is on the top 5 list and that it's so high up, because the whole grand strategy thing, the campaign map and then the real-time battles, that sort of thing, really enjoy. And it was really refreshing, actually, to get a fantasy setting. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, there are issues, the battles are stupidly quick, it's almost like arcade style. And they did sort of not really release a whole lot of content with the actual game. I would have much preferred, maybe, obviously I know they've released the Beastmen, the Elves, is it just them so far? I think one of them should have at least been in the main game, or should have been free. My personal opinion on that one. But regardless, even those look really good. I've not bought any of them. I may do eventually when I do get some more time to get back into Warhammer. But as well as that, I'm not a big fan of the Warhammer franchise. I don't have a problem with it. I quite like that fantasy aesthetic. But for me, it's more sort of, can we now get a Lord of the Rings Total War proper one, rather than just a mod? By the way, the mod is amazing for Medieval 2. Absolutely amazing modification. So if you are into that, and you are into Total War, and you've not played that mod, go out and get it, because it is amazing, quite frankly. And just before, I'm teasing you now, just before we release the number 1 spot, I want to talk about the game that has won the best free-to-play game of 2016. I'm giving that to Tiger Knight Empire War. I did sort of maybe joke about it actually, but I was being deadly serious. It's the game this year that has been released on a free-to-play model that I have enjoyed the most. It's the one I put the most time into. I've enjoyed the most to play. It's sort of a mixture, cross between your Mount and Blade, your what's it called now? Dynasty Warriors, that sort of era, the Remnants of the Three Kingdoms, and also, I'm trying to think, War of the Roses, that's it. And Chivalry and For Honor, and it's got all those sort of things mixed into it. And it is quite an attractive game as well, I've got to say. I mean, I think it's, visually quite satisfying. And the gameplay is quite good. It's got quite a few different modes as well. And just a unique, real sort of spin on it. No, it doesn't do anything outrageous. Doesn't try to be too risky. But plays really well. It's a game that you don't even have to spend any money on. Which I know a lot of people say that about free-to-play games, but I've not noticed any real reason to buy anything with real money. I did buy the starter pack. I'll be honest with you, when a free-to-play game is really good, I'm happy to support it, to get a few cosmetic items or what have you, but, I can't fault it. Well worth this subsidiary title. It's not going to enter the actual top 5 games, but, yeah, well worth getting a mention in this list. And number 1 goes to XCOM 2, the strategy game made by someone. I can't remember who they are now. But yes, it's very good. I think it was the first game on this list that actually came out this year, that's in the top 5. It sort of moves on from the first XCOM, which I really enjoyed. They were always a struggle. I mean, I find them a struggle, because you've got to, balance everything, the emotions that you gain with your characters. I think you almost have a story within a story. Like, there was this character called Honda who got kidnapped by the alien race, and one of my guys was trying to carry him to safety. After I sort of failed in the mission, I got a bit ambushed, and I was like, oh crap, we've got to get out of here, type thing. And the guy that was carrying him got shot down dead. Honda got kidnapped, and then we stopped playing through the game, and you sort of move on. You recruit other soldiers, probably to a better standard than that guy was, and you're fighting harder and harder alien units, and then you get to a point later on in the game where you get this mission, and it says, Honda's here, or Honda's there, Honda's been spotted, he's a VIP, and you're like, I think I know who that guy is, I remember him. And then you do this mission, you rescue him, you get him out alive, and then he's back in your team, and it's emotional. It might not sound like much, but in the whole grand scheme of the game, when you got permadeath and all that sort of stuff, You know, to actually be able to rescue someone that you've lost who was like a core key member of your squad, to get him back in, even though actually I think I still used him after then, to be honest, just because it was, you know, he was like a talisman for the group. Yeah, it's just it's weird. It's weird how you get that emotional connection there, and I think XCOM 2 have done it really well. You've got the contrast obviously with the first game as well in terms of the storylines. And other than the only blight I will say, and I'm going to mention this because I've just been gushing about the game, is the final battle is cheap. You know, it's just literally we'll throw wave after wave of strong units at you until you kill the bosses. I don't really want to go into the story or anything like that, just to, you know, so I'm not spoiling it if you've not played it already, which I really recommend going out and doing, especially now as it's been released for PS4 and Xbox One as well. So yeah, no excuse not to go and pick this up if that's the sort of game you're into. But for me, best game this year, best game I've enjoyed in terms of, like I said, not just the story that it's made out of, but also the stories that I've had within it. You know, it's like sort of similar thing to, like, you know, you have your own little scenarios from like really open world games, like I was thinking more like Skyrim or Oblivion or something like that. So there you have it, guys. That was my top 5 games of 2016. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Do remember to leave me a comment and let me know what game you thought should have won, or won Game of the Year for you this time around. I quite enjoyed the games this year. There was quite a few strong competitors in there. Just a little bit of an interlude to all of that. I mentioned before that I hadn't bought Darkest Dungeon. I was going to wait till the Steam Christmas or winter sale. That's on now, so I have bought it, but I'll be playing it at some point. Like I say, probably still will be over the new year, or at least after Christmas anyway, and I'll be put up 1 or 2 videos about that as well, or just what I think about it. So I've also bought Gears of War 4 from the Microsoft Store. That's on sale this whole week, along with the whole Gears of War collection. So if you're a PC gamer, purely PC, and you want to play those games, then do check out the Microsoft Store. I wasn't too keen on Gears of War 3, but probably best not to mention that to Microsoft. Not that they will care, but yes, or any fanboys, of course, because they might care. But no, I really love the first 2, so I'm happy to give the 4th one a go. It's 40% off, I think, so it's a fairly decent price for now to have a go on anyway. Worth the punt. I've also bought a couple of other little games as well on the Steam sale. Can't remember what they are right now, but we'll talk about them at some point in the future. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you very soon. I'll see you on the next one, which I'll be doing next week, which is going to be the top 5 worst games or something like that. See you then. Goodbye.